Welcome back and thank you very much indeed. This is TV3Newday and many thanks indeed to all those who made time to check on me while I was away. Phone calls and text messages and WhatsApp messages, I'm grateful. And for those who also wish that I'll be away forever, thank you very much as well. I thank everybody. Whether you like me or you don't like me, I'm still here until otherwise. So good morning to you. We're back to do the national cause and to pursue same for all our sakes. Amen. The Republic Press this morning says Tutag urges government to honor agreement on conditions of service. Government mourns with the people of Kufodria bring back toll booths as part of fiscal consolidation measures. ISE. Yesterday I met the Minister for Roads at a party at campaigns, Moving Peak. Osei takes lead as poll tips him for NPP chairmanship slot. And tighten security at worship centers. Kandapa warns of terror attacks. I support free SHS, but it's time to review the policy. Palmer Bakkel, the most reverend, is the Archbishop, Central Region there. The Ghanaian Observer says there is no imminent Dumso Energy Ministry. Really? Okay. Terror alert. As National Security Minister urges improved security at worship centers, government mourns with the people of New Japan. Government readies Asumje Park to honor late President Mills, and no need to change a winning team. Chairman Wuntumi says so is the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the New Patriotic Party. Inflation, not e-levy, tops concerns of most investor analysts. That's the BNFT's front page. Also, customs target 4-hour mandatory clearance periods at port. And AFDB seeks U.S. support for $1.5 billion US emergency food plan for Africa. Also, the FT ranks Global Accelerex among fastest growing companies in Africa. The Daily Statement, Bawumia government to pass space policy soon. Also, the national security is cautioning against growing terrorist threats there. Also, the back page, Liverpool win FA Cup. How Jurgen Klopp set the tone for everything Reds do. Alan Shearer. Okay, you never walk alone, eh? Sorry, Chelsea. The Finder newspaper, Consolidated Bank Ghana unveils Operations Academy, and Energy Ministry rejects John Jinapol's Dumso prediction. Also, road crash deaths hit 943 in 4 months, 8.8 decline compared with 1,034 fatalities in 2021. Also, Ghanaian youth advised to build capacity to generate more income. And finally, the Custodian newspaper, Akufo-Addo revives Mills Asumje Park. Government bids farewell to Dasibro Boateng. Parliament pledges to deepen Ghana's democracy. And no imminent Dumso PPTC rebuts John Jinapol's claim. And those are what we have on the front page of the dailies. Quickly, if it's your birthday, happy birthday to you. You celebrate this special day with Amos Emisa of Coca-Cola and Thomas Emisa of Deloitte and Touche. Both are of MOBA 1990. May the Almighty God bless you. This is from all your family, friends, siblings, and from Kojo MOBA, Kojo as well. Happy birthday to Stephen Kavianu. Yesterday was your birthday, belated one to you. And if it's yours as well, happy birthday to you. My guest this morning is Mr. Anthony Morrison. He is with the Chamber of Agribusiness. And also Mr. Edward Kariwe. He is the General Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union. Gentlemen, welcome. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
As I mentioned earlier, today we'll be talking agric. So let's go straight to Parliament, where President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, had hinted that Ghana is a net exporter of food. A reality, a myth? Take a look.
In 2017, it appeared to some like the same old refrain when we said farmers and agriculture would get the highest priority. But we can see the difference it makes when a government treats farmers with respect and spends resources and expertise on agriculture. We have seen the dramatic turnaround of our agricultural fortunes due to the progressive policies that have improved the living standards of farmers in the country. The excellently executed policy for planting for food and jobs has laid the foundation for the agricultural transformation of our country. We are able to say that our country is now a net exporter of food, and we no longer have to import basic foods like plantain and tomatoes. Mr. Speaker, Ghana rice is the preferred choice in an increasing number of our homes as the growing, processing, and packaging of rice become a more established and attractive industry. During this COVID crisis, we have mercifully been spared the specter of food shortages. On the contrary, thanks to planting for food and jobs, food has been in abundance in our markets across the country. Throughout the ages, food processing has provided the takeoff point for the industrialization of many nations. And we are taking that lesson to heart as we pursue the goal to industrialize, modernize, and create jobs for the young people of our nation. The One District, One Factory program is part of the anchor on which we're building the comprehensive industrialization of our country. Much of the work has now been done to put in place the framework for the rapid implementation of projects. The factors that are currently in place and in production reflect the underlying principle of the program, which is the equitable distribution of development projects around the country.
That's the President of the Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, before Parliament, our representatives addressing the nation, the State of the Nation address per Article 67 of the Constitution. He says Ghana is a net exporter of food. We don't no longer have to import basic food. He talks about planting for food and jobs. He talks about one district, one factory. That's his reality. In a speech, obviously written for him, with data from the Agric Ministry as well. My gentlemen are in studio. So let me start with you, Anthony. This is the President's reality. Is that your reality too?
Well, good morning and a very good morning to your cherished listeners and viewers and all farmers in the country and agribusiness ecosystem. Thank you. I think that, first of all, the President's statement is quite disingenuous. I think a little more fact-checking could have been done in that speech that he read in 2021. And we do know even in 2021, and I said it in this studio, that we were importing well over $100 million worth of tomatoes from Burkina Faso.
Right.
So for the President to state clearly that we're no longer importing some common commodities wasn't true. Then secondly, we do know even
it wasn't true what the President said.
It wasn't true what the President said. And rice production have reduced even as at 2021. That also affected our agronomical practices. As a result of agronomical practices, lower yields, less supply of fertilizers as a result of the continuous owing of fertilizer suppliers and seed suppliers. So our importation bill as of 2021 for rice went up marginally by 17%. So, and these are data from the United States Department for Agriculture. So you can't be getting it any wrong. And that has also shown currently, because if you look in fact, they just ended Muslim festival. A lot of people were calling, we need local rice. There were no local rice on the market.
But that's what the President says, that
Yes.
there's abundance of local rice.
Nothing. And I'm telling you, absolutely nothing. The prices have shot up for local rice, and because there is less on the market. So this is the reality of the situation. And for me, I will only say that the industry requires some major reforms.
Like what?
A lot of reforms. I was talking about some of this yesterday in my international engagement with some experts. And I stated clearly that Ghana needs to leverage on key agriculture sector performance indicators to push growth. And the reason why I state that is that agriculture can transform Ghana's economy. And we can only do that when government is ready to build some silver lining in the agriculture sector. What are these silver lining? Let's make jobs available for youth. Let's reduce the current smallholder farmer population by introducing some economic diversification skills for them, so that those of them who are not making productive in the agriculture sector can find other areas of the economic engagement and become more productive, so that the limited funds available for government to expand on productivity, especially in our government priority areas, will be successful. Now, if you go to the betting shops, for the past 4 years, betting shops have, it's just like foreign rice. They are everywhere right now. And if you go to each betting shop, you can find no less than 100 youth in there. What is their contribution to the daily growth of this country?
That's why government has planted for food and jobs.
That has failed.
Jobs.
And we don't even want to be hearing about this rhetorics. So government...
You don't want to be hearing about these.
No.
But this is what government says are my initiatives to create jobs for the youth, get people to farm more, feed the nation, export more, raking some cash. You say they are rhetorics?
Do we do scenario planning in this country? Do we put our various sectors of the economy into a pinball and look at experts who do the scenario planning in a way that reflects the reality of the situation? Or we just wake up and within somebody's screams and caprices, we decided to run out some forms of rhetorics and running a government, a country? It doesn't work like that. Look, in a more advanced country, you go to US, you go to UK, the military are involved in planning and designing of agriculture sector policies. Okay? When we called that the government should even set up the National Food Security Committee, nothing has been done. Food prices keep shooting up. Okay? During the COVID, when we requested that government should make intervention, use the military, use the prisons, go around the country, mop up all the food, and get all this food into the warehouse. What was done? Nothing.
But that's why you have the buffer stock. You have the warehouses.
I can tell you for a fact that if you go to buffer stock cannot produce for or cannot supply Ghana's food needs for the next 3 weeks.
You're joking.
Well, that's the reality of the case. So we need to be very careful where we are going as a country. As I said, there is a need for major agriculture sector reforms. For the past 15 years, no government have made investment into the agriculture or have made more than 1% budgetary allocation to the agriculture sector. Meanwhile, Ghana is a signatory to the Malabo Declaration that requires us to make 3% of continuous budgetary allocation into the agriculture sector. And a population that has grew over the past 10 years, more than 8 million, and we are still making a partly less 1% budgetary allocation. What do you expect?
We have the headquarters of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area here. It means that trading has begun on this in the African sub-region, and we are importing everything. Are we being competitive enough? Because you are talking about budgetary allocation. Yes, we believe that agri can take us somewhere. But look at around us, Morocco, Cote d'Ivoire, Algeria, everybody is bringing us something. What are we giving them?
Unfortunately, after is a bad news for Ghana. We are not ready for after. Competitive-wise, we are not being, we do not have any comparative advantages when it comes to the agriculture sector. The top 70 agriculture commercial farms and industries all import their high skills. Okay, I sit here as the chairman of the Ghana Agriculture Sector Skills TVET, body of TVET Commission, and we look at data consistently. We are currently running a project called the Future of Skills and Work in Ghana, and the data is scary. And we sit here talking about after, when a Nigerian who is highly skilled, South African who is highly skilled, Zimbabwean who is highly skilled, Ivorian whose agronomical expertise far dwarf that of Ghanaian agronomy experts, will come to Ghana and take our jobs. It's good we are implementing the TVET, which the ATVET is part, which is the Agriculture Technical Vocational Training. We are implementing the dual TVET system. We are looking at the workplace experience learning, but still a lot more needs to be done.
Let me bring in Mr. Kaiwa. You are the General Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union. you had the president. Where you sit, what do you see?
Well, let me also say good morning to my colleagues who are working hard in the working class, and then to all those who are listening to us and also watching us. Well, the State of the Nation address in which the President, His Excellency, made those assertions, we are caused to complain and to reject those as factual. I thought the President was giving wrong figures.
By who?
Of course, the President has people who work for him, and the Minister for Agriculture is directly responsible for the agricultural sector. So those figures were wrong. He indicated at that point that the figures he gave was for 2020.
That's right.
Because he read the address on 5th January,
right,
2021, and that maize production had gone up by 110%.
You doubt that?
No, I doubted it over 2019 production. Okay. So 2020 production of maize was more than 100% over 2019 production.
And you see, that's impossible.
And that was available for 2021 consumption. So the 2020 production was the one available for 2021 consumption. He also indicated in that particular SONA that rice production had gone up by 48%, and that Ghana was a net exporter of tomato and then plantain. When some few weeks before his address, Ghanaian traders who go to Burkina Faso to buy tomatoes,
I remember,
were attacked by armed robbers and so on. So they even had to demonstrate and then ask for police protection, which they were given.
Yeah, the president ordered IGP upon Bueno to give them protection. And he reported back to the president.
Yeah. So how can us in one vein importing tomatoes and then the president will come and say that we are exporting tomatoes? It means someone did not give him the right information.
They're misleading the president.
Now, of course, seriously. And then 2020, 3 months after the SONA, there was no maize in the market. There was no maize in the system. Poultry farmers could not find the maize. So we're justified to say that the figures were not right. They were not correct. And he was fed with wrong figures. And the lack of maize continued until now.
Which is why my kenke and my banku, my cocoa is expensive.
What they tried to explain, and they tried to explain out why there was a shortage of maize, when they had indicated that in the previous year, that is 2020, maize production had gone up by 110%. They said that we over-exported, and that even traders came as far from Kanu to come and buy maize from Ghana to go back.
Does it make meaning to you that you have food at home, your children have not eaten, but you are selling?
If you don't know, unfortunately for some of us, I've had a chance to even go to Magduri, beyond Kanu. So I know Kanu very well.
Right.
So for a trader to move all the way from Kanu to come to Ghana and buy maize and go back there, even the transport cost alone will be more than the cost of buying the maize here, and you will not make profit. So it does not make sense. And we didn't know that Nigeria was in crisis. So you see, all that was said was painting a picture that we had enough food. But within the 2021, we saw that there was no food at all. Again, if you look at our exports of maize, from 2018, we started declining. So it was not because of exports of the maize that led to the shortage of maize in the system in 2021.
What accounted for it?
Low production.
Because
low production.
Because fertilizers were not available, or seedlings, or what? Government keeps talking about improved seedlings, fertilizer, agri support, extension officers. You hear the minister talk about these
Certainly,
things.
the minister says so. But as of 2020, there were even serious challenges with the Planting for Food and Jobs. The fertilizer was not available. They introduced the coupon system where people who had no farms rather got the coupons, and they were then selling their coupons to farmers. They picked the fertilizer and they were smuggling it. So the figures that were given could not be right, and were proven right, were vindicated, because a few months after that, there was no food at all. There was no maize, there was no rice. You see, it's the Planting for Food and Jobs program is a policy, it's a program.
Right.
It has an intention to increase food production and also to create jobs. That's only an intention.
Morrison said they are rhetorics.
Well, that is exactly. If you don't praise an intention, you must be praising what results. Because intentions are intentions, they are dreams, they are objectives. Until the objectives are achieved, you don't continue to, you don't go about praising it. But unfortunately, that is what was happening. And today it has come to all of us that the Planting for Food and Jobs has not provided the food, let alone to talk about the jobs.
I remember that in the first year of Planting for Food and Jobs, the Agri Minister was in Parliament, mentioned that we had created 745,000 jobs. You remember that?
Yes.
So if on a year-on-year basis, we are creating 745,000, or on an average of 500,000 jobs, we shouldn't have young people complaining about lack of jobs.
At that point, I was the first person to question the minister. Where were the jobs? He should show us where the jobs are. You know, jobs are verifiable. Jobs are tangibles. You are here every morning, we can trace you. If you're not even around in the morning, we know that you work here. So we asked, where were the jobs? They should show us where the jobs were. Well, all of us are interested in jobs. Much of my income goes to fund those who do not have jobs. So I am interested in jobs. You are interested in jobs. Everybody's interested in jobs.
Right.
It's not government officials alone. So when they come to present a picture as though they are more patriotic to the country than any of us, it's not the case. So we ask, where are the jobs? And then if because you started with the Plan for Food and Jobs, you created 745,000 jobs. Then just for only 5 crops, because they started with 5 crops, maize, rice, tomato, and so on, and soya. Then what about the other crops? How many jobs did they add? And then in total, you could see that the agri sector alone was going to get over 1 million jobs. And if we continue to have 1 million jobs over a period of 5 years, today they will not have a problem with the jobs.
Is our Minister for Agri the safe pair of hands for feeding this nation?
I don't understand.
The Minister for Agri.
Yes.
He is the one that the President has reposed confidence in to make sure that Planting for Food and Jobs, Rearing for Food and Jobs, Planting for Export and Rural Development, all of those extension services, agri, whatever, everything is in his hands to manage. Has he satisfied the billing?
Well, it's for all of us to judge him. 1, 2 objectives for that Planting for Food and Jobs program: to have enough food for domestic consumption and for our industries, and also to create jobs. Where is the food? We don't have rice, we don't have maize, we don't have soya. We have absolutely nothing. Look, sometimes when we talk, they think that we want people to lose their jobs. No, I'm a labor person. Every job matters for me. Every job matters for me. Our cardinal point is to promote and protect the economic and social interests of workers. So anybody who has got a job, we make sure that job is protected. But you see, you can't give a job to someone who is not delivering and creating costs, and you continue to put that person there.
So in effect, you're telling the president sack the minister?
Well, if he's listening and he's satisfied with the situation that Ghanaians have found themselves, then, of course, he can still maintain the minister there.
I hear you.
But if he's not satisfied, if they are listening to the cry of Ghanaians, why not? You need to try another hand.
But the president was in parliament quoting the same minister and the figures, and the minister was nodding in admiration.
And because we challenge him, we challenge the minister and the ministry that they were feeding the president with wrong figures. This year's SONA, the president never mentioned any single figures. We don't know the total output of maize for this year or for last year. It was not mentioned, not rice. You see? And again, they did not tell us in which particular food or foodstuffs that were self-sufficient. Because this year's SONA, the president indicated that we were self-sufficient in food production. And food is a group of foodstuffs.
That's right.
So when you are talking about food, you don't take only tomatoes. Tomatoes is there, onions is there, maize is there, rice is there, and a whole lot. Was the president telling us that we are self-sufficient in food production in all of these foodstuffs? I thought that he should have told us that when it comes to maize, we are self-sufficient. When it comes to rice, we are. When it comes to this, we are not. But you don't box everything and say we're self-sufficient in food
You think
production.
that they're hiding something?
I'm saying that, you see, we need to be more thorough than this. Because there's cost to it.
Final one, I'll come to Mr. Morrison shortly. Also in that SONA, the president literally was silent about the dams, the quantum of dams we have, and the impact it has had on our farming and the bread basket of the nation. Were you surprised?
Well, he was not entirely silent, but he was talking about what he said. The Tono irrigation dam was completed. The rehabilitation was completed. He also talked about the Pong irrigation dams. That one side of it was rehabilitated and it was in use. But strikingly missing was about the Pologo dam.
What about it?
The dam that it is the biggest, is multifaceted dam. It is the largest investment ever to be done in the northern part of the country. It is a game changer. It provides almost everything. It will provide food, provide electricity, even solar, and so on. Yet, no mention was made about it. As we speak now, what is the state of that work on that dam? What we are picking on the ground is that the contractors are moving.
You don't mean it? The
Yes.
Pologo multipurpose dam,
Yes.
which will also provide some energy. You say the people have moved out.
No work is going on.
Why?
No money. You can go and verify if the people are there working.
Pologo multipurpose dam.
Yes.
The contractors have
Yes.
moved.
Yes. You see, no mention was made about it. Another striking irrigation program was the One Village, One Dam. We had cause to say that the way the One Village, One Dam was to be implemented was bound to fail. It was bound to fail in the sense that if you look at the number of villages in a district,
Right.
and then you multiply that one by the whole northern part, what was the cost per dam? Whether or not that cost, if you aggregate it, government was in a position to fund it. Apart from that, the purpose of the dam is to be used for irrigation.
Right.
And if it's to be used for irrigation, and the type of irrigation we do in this country is the general flooding system, where you open the water, then it floods the whole
That's right.
plot.
That's right.
Look, those dams could not, even if they were constructed well, could not hold water for the dry season.
Oh, but how do you say that?
No, you see, I'm talking about the size. Because if you look at even evaporation alone, between 8 to 9 months in the year is dry in the north, no rains.
Okay.
So when you have the dam, and it is to survive till the next season, it must be big enough. And because you also flood your farms with it, the water goes very fast. So those dams they were talking about building, you need to know the cost. But if you go
you don't know the cost of the
they
dam.
were just dugouts. I just want to tell you that they were not dams for irrigation.
And you say that that was an exercise in futility?
In the sense that they don't have water. If you have a dam that does not have water, what is the use of it? And they should tell us how many of those dams are functioning today. And why is it that His Excellency failed to mention that major project?
The Portugal multipurpose dam.
And then the One Village, One Dam, which is very, very important for the survival of the Planting for Food and Jobs program.
Okay, I see that Anthony has written a lot. When we take a break, when we return, we will engage him also, ask him why food is expensive on the markets, why your cocoa seller no longer sells 70 pesos, sells 1 CD and 1 CD 50 pesos to you, why your bread is so expensive and they ask you not to squeeze it before you buy. Kinkonomics will also be on the table. We'll see you after the break. Welcome back to TV3Newday. Let's take a quick look at this article. What's written by thepulse.com.gh. It's business, area. And this by Alan Kojo-Chermantin. He's our Minister for Trade. He says Ghana spent 12.748 billion to import rice, fish, chicken between 2017 and 2020. And the story reads that Trade Minister, the breakdown is as follows. Rice is 6.874 billion cedis. Fish is 3.993 billion cedis. And processed chicken is 1.881 billion cedis. So that's what you have there. This was in 2021. The date is December 16, 2021. So that's what... That's it. Let's get some details, a few details. According to the minister, Ghana spent the following on meat, vegetable, poultry within the same period. Meat, 487 million Ghana cedis. Vegetables, 281 million cedis. Poultry, 184 million cedis. And the graphic newspaper reported that Mr. Chermantin made the disclosure when he appeared before Parliament to respond to a question by Musala Mohammed Ibrahim, Member of Parliament for Tamale Central, on how much the state spent on the importation of rice and other stuff into the country over the past 4 years. And you know, Mutala is former Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry as well. Responding to another question whether the government has lifted the ban on small rice importers, Mr. Chermantin said rice was a staple food in Ghana. Such one had to maintain a delicate balance between quantity of rice produced locally and what was imported to ensure that there are no serious shortages. Well, yeah, so that's what we have there. That's the detail we have there this morning. My guest in studio is still Mr. Anthony Morrison. He is with the Chamber of Agribusiness, and also Mr. Edward Kariwe. He is the General Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union. Send us your thoughts and comments. It will be on the screen. You would get to read them. Anthony, this is what the minister said under oath in Parliament. That's shocking. All this money going out of the country. Shocking.
Yes, unfortunately, it is the case. Figures available to the chamber and our ongoing market evaluation of some of the things we import. Even tomatoes has not been included there.
Right.
So, and we know onion is not there. We also know that ginger is not there.
Ginger,
Garlic is not there. So a number of in fact, there are two key things that are missing there. Fruit juice and cooking oil. In fact, cooking oil alone would dwarf the data there. I'm telling you.
Really?
Cooking oil would dwarf the data you have over there.
And fruit juice.
And fruit juice. So we need to be careful as a country where we are going. You were talking about why are prices going up.
That's right.
And for me, it's an area that I think that the benchmark value, for instance, which is currently dissipating most of the agro-processing companies, should be stopped. I say this because you can see what is happening to the Frito company. They've stopped off-taking palm oil from most of the palm commercial farms and also the smallholder farmers. We've seen what is happening to the rice processing companies, Afnash and Co. Look, we need to be strategic. I remembered when they were talking about a benchmark value, I had the opportunity to engage the senior minister, or I don't know his current position.
Is the senior presidential advisor?
Senior presidential advisor. And we had a little... Exactly. We had a little banter. And he said, look, there was that critical need to protect the consumer. So you protect the consumer at the expense of the growth of this country. Where you import and create jobs somewhere, you import and create foreign reserves for other countries to be able to use that money to, in a way, destabilize economies. Okay? Because when you continue to import, that money is always used to cushion producers, and that money keeps coming back into your country.
But let's face it, the benchmark values, for example, it has sugar, and I've asked that question. Every grain, every cube of sugar we eat in this country, we import. Our Commander Sugar Factory it has not started production, even though the president promised that we're going to start production in April. He said by April, the factory will be up and running. He said that, I remember it.
Yes.
We are in May. Factory is not up and running. We are still importing sugar. If we decide to take the benchmark values of sugar, for example, to make it more expensive, this morning, Hajia's cocoa will be more expensive. The oats, tea, everything else, bread, cake, name it, will be expensive.
Johnny,
wouldn't it?
You see, we at the private sector always look at government long-term policies. And I have said it on many platforms that we should stop the short-term policies and look at medium to long-term. If government makes the right environment for sugar productivity, you will see investment going in there. It's not that we can't produce sugarcane or the type of sugarcane to produce sugar.
So why is Commander not running?
It's about government. Look, the Economic Intelligence Unit last year downgraded Ghana's food security status and came out with 3 key points. It says government non-commitment to its own policies, government non-alignment of its own policies, and lack of continuous budgetary allocation to critical sectors. You understand? Okay. If a government says that, look, we are going to make available maybe 14 years long-term, how do you call it, some tax exemption or some sort of thing for anybody interested in investing into sugar. You think the private sector will not do that? You think ADB will not go into that? Maybe EcoBank or any other investment company will not go into it? Because the volume of sugar alone dwarfs what we are talking about. The volume of oil dwarfs what we are talking about. And Hajia's children will now have opportunity to go and get a work to do, decent work, be skillful, be an engineer, be whatever in their factory. So there is a lot more we can do when we sit down here and you go to the port. I mean, the current food survey that was done by Statistical Department, and you realize that 28.2% of fat and oil constituted the reason why prices are going up. 27.1 was wheat. Okay? And it goes on.
You're 23. I'm talking Russia and Ukraine now and COVID. I'm sure you've heard that excuse from government spokespersons and all of that. That, oh, yes, we're suffering because of Russia and Ukraine and COVID. Fertilizer is not here because of Russia and Ukraine. Wheat, Russia and Ukraine. You hear it, Russia and Ukraine. Is it a meaningful excuse to you?
It's factually incorrect. Because look at the sub-region around us. Burkina Faso, Togo, inflation. They recorded far lower inflation figures compared to Ghana 21 or 23.
23.6.
23.6. They were in single digits. Does it mean that these countries did not have the benefit of COVID? Does it mean that they are not having the challenges of the Russian-Ukraine war? It is about pragmatism. It is about a country that has well projected its development programs on a well-grounded fact. When you do or undertake a national project without any serious, in fact, I always come to scenario planning because having gone through scenario planning as an expert myself, I dare to say that anything that is not done with scenario planning is bound to fail. You don't have data, you don't have how people react, you don't have the serious project management expertise, and you roll it out, nothing. Look, if you look at the taxes from the port, okay, import tax, import duty 5.0, VAT 15, ECOWAS levy 0.5, Export Development Investment Fund, which is now EXIM, 0.5, inspection fee 1.0. I mean, national health insurance, it goes on and on and on and on and on before coming to pay all the other taxes or other things.
And all of that.
Exactly. You see, when one person has to pay all this at the port, what do you expect the consumer to do? The importer will pass on the what?
The cost.
The cost to the consumer. And you see, the data keep showing that we continue to be at the mercy of importers. We are not being strategic with our own policies. For instance,
but then, is there support for young people who, for example, this morning, he's listening to you. His father has a 5-acre plot. He wants to go into farming. Where does he go to get funding, seeds, fertilizer, some level of training support to be able to farm? He wants to farm because he's seen that we have a problem. We are importing fish. We're importing chicken. We're importing meat. We're importing tomato. We're importing rice. We're importing onion. Contrary to what the president says. Now he wants to be part of the solution. Where does he go?
The president must abreast himself with facts, the current happening on the ground. Then he can help himself to put in the necessary policies. You see, as the president of this country, and you do not check your facts, you will not have the better mindset to actually tell your ministers, this is what I want you to do. When a minister brings you report, get a second team expert to look at the report, check the facts, because all the things he has said is not true. And we keep going on. Look, data alone, we imported, in fact, projections are that we are going to import 1 million metric tons of rice this year. Okay? We are going to import about 300,000 metric tons of maize this year. And do you know, over 270 commercial farms, poultry commercial farms, have collapsed.
Right. Right.
Do you know the poultry industry is the biggest employer of the agriculture sector? Do you know that should the poultry industry collapse, do you know how many maize farmers are going to switch from maize? Because majority of maize are off-taken by the poultry farmers.
So you say we have a problem coming at us.
Do you know how much is egg now? Boiled egg.
1 cedi 50%.
No, 2 cedis.
Really?
2 cedis.
Kosiani
I was at the mechanics this weekend. He knows. The whole week, the whole day, I was there.
Kosiani Meko.
I'm telling you,
It's
2
2
cedis.
cedis.
2 cedis.
I know 120 and 150. 1 cedi 20%.
2 cedis. Check anywhere. It's 2 cedis.
Kosiani Meko.
My God. I'm telling you. And you see, that already defeats our food security and nutrition projections for this country. As a person sitting here at our age, we should be consuming about at least no less than 100 and something eggs in a month. Okay, but we can't possibly do that because of the cost of it.
Okay. Let me bring in Mr. Kaiwe. Russia, Ukraine, COVID. Are they the cause of our problems? Because that's the explanation we are getting largely. You ask where the fertilizers are, Russia, Ukraine. Why can't we get this Russia, Ukraine? Russia, Ukraine. Are they the cause?
Well, it appears to me that when you don't have a plan, you wake up, and whatever happens on that particular day, you blame it on you blame your failures on what happens that day. When in the actual fact, it is not the cause of it. When you talk about this benchmark value, I'll come to it. Benchmark value. How do you subsidize importers? You are subsidizing imports for what purpose? I'm making this point, and I would like to clarify myself here that it is not that you cannot subsidize imports. You can subsidize imports when they are essential goods, when those goods are raw materials for production within the country, or at a time that you are in crisis, disaster, you need to bring in those imports. You may do that, but not at one level of development, where we have already rolled out a number of homegrown policies, to industrialize. The products that are being imported into the country, are they not the same products that our one district, one factory,
one village, one dam
is meant for?
Right. Fruit juice, for example.
Yeah.
A Kumfi is supposed to answer that.
So why do you subsidize the importer that the money that I'm supposed to collect from you, take part of it and keep it, with the hope that this importer will now come and sell the goods less in the market?
Mr. Chairman, since we need to balance, things.
No, you see, they have been balancing for all these years. What are the results? No one should come and tell us that we know we have the ideas. Where are the results? The results are telling us that we are not going anywhere. Because we contradict ourselves. Why do we blame Ukraine? War. Of course, in the course of the year, it has now begun to reflect on us.
Right.
But even when the war had just traveled for 2 weeks or 1 week, we started blaming them. The reality is that we do not have enough food in this country for ourselves. The reality is that we import so much, almost everything into this country. So if you import so much from outside, you need more foreign exchange to do so. And when there's a problem in any of those countries, then what happens to you? You import those problems into your home.
Can I ask you a very frank question? If the countries that we import food from decide not to give us food, how long can we sustain ourselves as a country?
Well, I think that we can sustain ourselves as a country for about 1 month. And what it is that, we have a survival instinct. If we switch eating what we've been importing and then now begin to eat what we grow. Many people do not just eat gari, but if there's no your preferred meal, you go into that. So
but even gari is expensive now.
It says, yes.
Gari is expensive. A crate of egg that I used to buy for 15, 16 cedis, now almost 30 cedis, maybe more.
Yes.
Bread is twice the price. Gari, twice and half the price. Kenke, twice the price. Everything is going up. What's going on?
You see, it's simple, but the truth is one. There's no amount of argument that can change the truth. Whatever you do, the truth will still come back to you. The reality is that we do not produce enough in this country.
So where do we go now?
Yet we are claiming that we produce. That's where the problem is. If we accept that we are not producing enough, then we can begin to look for the solution. As we speak now, where is the fertilizer for farmers? No subsidized fertilizer. Any bag of fertilizer you find in the market is the open market fertilizer.
Which is expensive.
Which is expensive. So it tells us today that government has abandoned the farmers. Because farmers used to have subsidy. The subsidy continued to come down. And last year it was 36%. This year they said they will subsidize only 15%, but there's no subsidy. There's no subsidized fertilizer
for you to go and buy.
No, you can get fertilizer to buy, but that fertilizer is the open market fertilizer. There are 2 types of fertilizers that are there.
So there's 15% subsidy for you, available for you, but the 15% subsidy is not available.
No, the 15% subsidized fertilizer is not available.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So this is free market fertilizer.
Yes.
It's there. You can go and buy.
Yes.
This one is subsidized at 15%, but it is not there.
It's not there.
So what is the essence of the subsidy then?
So there's no subsidy. Therefore, you are de-investing. Even if this 15% is there, Ghana is de-investing in agriculture. Because last year you subsidized what? 36%. So if this year you are subsidizing 15%, you are reducing your allocation to agriculture.
But this will affect cocoa production then.
Of
Cocoa
course.
production, which cocoa is a mainstay, it earns us big money.
They are different.
They are different.
The fertilizers are different.
Well, I'm saying, but the cocoa farmers are also complaining about their fertilizers as well.
They may complain, but theirs is largely procured by what? Cocoa board. So cocoa board is dealing with that.
Okay. Are they?
Well, I will leave that one to them. I believe so. I believe they are dealing with that. But why the fertilizer is important, and we must ask the minister and the ministry to tell us. Well, when they started the Planting for Food and Jobs program, they made fertilizer a critical input.
Right.
Why did they do that? Because they discovered that over the years, there's low fertilizer application by our farmers. And what was the cause? Because the cost of fertilizer was beyond their means. So you decide to subsidize. Today, the price of fertilizer is tripled. Yet you are now reducing your subsidy. So you see the contradiction. Why the need for subsidy? Do you subsidize when the prices are high and the farmer cannot acquire it? Or you subsidize when it is in an abundance and the farmer can meet the cost? So it tells you that if you this is not the time to take away the subsidy. In fact, this should have been the time that we should increase allocation to agriculture.
But there are experts at the ministry that know this, what you're saying. There are experts at the ministry. The minister has consultants paid with our taxes. There's a chief director. There are other experts in charge of crops, in charge of livestock, in charge of this. They know this. They know what you're talking about. So why is it not happening?
If people know and they are not acting, you force them to act. If you don't want to act, you move away. You get out. Who is supervising who? If they know this and they are not doing it, and yet they are paid by the taxpayer, then who pays them?
Let's talk a bit about fisheries, because we imported fish as well. But we have had close season, right? Again, do you see contradiction?
Well, you see, if you look at our ecology, there are times to allow for breeding. You know, and you don't actually, if you're a hunter and you see a pregnant game, you do not shoot that one if you have conscience. So if closing fishing is meant for the fish to breed, this is the time that they are hatching and all that, that could be okay. But you see, it also tells you that you are irresponsible.
Oh, how?
Because you have engaged in irresponsible behavior that has led to the point where you now need to, have this close season. We used not to have it. And we are all aware about what we have done in our waters. Apart from using inappropriate nets, we are allowing these Chinese and petroling and so on to continue for a long time. In fact, nature has been very good to us. The sea has been very good to us. And I'm just praying that the sea should not get angry and say that I am no more going to produce fish for you. And we'll see where you go. Because you are irresponsible in handling the fishes that are produced for you. So there's a contradiction. We are importing more. We are saying we are closing. But what it means is that those who are dependent on the fish along the coast, there's going to be serious hunger for them. Are we providing an alternative means of income for them? You see, maybe those who are far away hinterland, you may say that, look, I can forget about fish and rely on something else. But those along the coast, that is their whole livelihood. And it's not acceptable to wake up one day and say that, how many of us have been made to sit at home for 1 month without salary? Just because of what? That you are not going to have salary for 1 month, 2 months, because you want to do something. If you have to sit at home, you still have to be given salary. Here you are asking these people not to go to the sea, not to fish, to live on what?
Question for the gods. Anthony, let's wrap up the conversation this way. I'm looking for solutions now. It looks like the government...
We are not wrapping up. We're just starting. Look, you can't use 1 hour to talk about...
We have to wrap up. Sorry about it. I know you have a lot you want to talk about.
But you see...
It looks like, from what you both have said, it looks like the government is at wit's end when it comes to agric. Yes, they may have intentions, but like Mr. Kariwe said, you don't measure intentions. You measure the results. The woman or the guy who goes to the market this morning to go and buy foodstuff want to see foodstuff prices reduced because the president says everything is reduced. Then people have the penchant of going to the market women to say, but president says we are net exporter. Why is the pepper so expensive? Yeah. Why is the onion so expensive? The market women fights them because they heard their president speak. So now I'm looking for solutions.
Okay, Johnny, let me just touch base on the fish, then I'll give you solutions.
Right, quickly.
Okay, so we import well over 60% of fish that we consume in Ghana. And in Ghana, we have the capture and the captured system. Now, the captured system is what has been taken over by the foreigners.
The
Chinese and all that. And I don't understand why banks here cannot make facilities available to Ghanaian companies to buy vessels and go and fish. Now, the cultured system has also been overtaken by Chinese.
You mean tilapia, catfish, all of those ones?
Go to the, even right now as we speak, water catch and all the rest are having challenges. You remember last 4 years when we had the situation with the fish in the Japan enclave?
Right.
What kind of support stimulus package the government provide them? These were private investors, all right? So if you import well over 400,000 metric tons and you do not make, in fact, if you go to studies have shown that the algae that are in our seas that are supposed to help in the production of the phytoplanktons, which is the food that the fish eats, then they use the blue whatever to make sure that this production is sustainable, is depleting.
Why?
Okay, yes, of course, because of the unorthodox systems that are being used in the fishing system. So we need to do a lot scientifically.
But we have,
a lot more has to be done.
We have marine police. We were set up. We said we're going to stop these guys. We have the Navy. They take aviation, what do you call, premix fuel. They say they are going on patrol on the seas. We have the police. We have a ministry for fisheries. Why do we have all these problems still?
I've said somewhere, I want to come to solutions. I've said somewhere that if this country is supposed to be food sufficient or even comes to par with our food security issues, government should be investing no less than $500 million annually into the agriculture sector. Anything less than that is a disaster for us. And I'm telling you this today, that counting from September, we are going to see the reality of the food situation. Government of Ghana should go and negotiate with the Canadians and import fertilizer for us. Canada have a better fertilizer advantage than Ukraine. Why are we not doing that? We are sitting down here. Why are we not supporting the likes of, I know they were there last week, that's Zoom Lion Campus. Why are they not supporting my good friend Kumasi Farmers Hope? Why are they not supporting all these local indigenous companies that are supplying or manufacturing local content fertilizers, organic fertilizers? And you see, let me tell you, let's learn from some very good countries like India. India actually declared one zone that otherwise was seen as a zone for non-food production as an organic free zone. Today, as we speak, you can buy an acre
in that place.
In that place, everything is produced and exported. Okay, government should select one district in each region and declare it organic free state or district. You will see how indigenous Ghanaians are. We will produce our own fertilizers and feed this country. Now, we need to move on. As I said, the local content has to be there, and not only food production, but also in our consumption, the kind of food we allow. And that is what I say, that if GEPA had been adhering to its own objectives, who gives a license for importation of agriculture-based produce? For instance, if you go to Egypt, Egypt has the Egypt Agriculture Import and Export Council. Before you import anything which is agriculture-based, you go to them, they'll look at the content of which you want to import into the country. If 60% of that is produced here in Ghana, you'll be asked to produce.
Okay.
You understand? There are a lot of things we produce here in Ghana, we import into this country.
And we can produce.
That can be produced here. But the raw material base of that product.
I will go back to 2019, 20th of December 2019. I sat in front of the president at the Jubilee House. He said that all ministries, departments, and agencies, in fact, the Jubilee House itself, must have local rice for refreshment. Now, we're reading that our rice importation has shot up, which means that if not all of them, majority of our ministries, departments, and agencies did not respect the president's directive. And again, it comes back to policy. The president said it, but there's no policy document to back it.
Exactly. And you see, we need right now, wherever we're going to get the money, to provide stimulus package to farmers.
Where are we getting the money from?
Well,
we're broke.
We are importing well over 20 billion cedis worth of food into this country. Look at it. From fried oil, sugar, fish, rice, tomatoes, onion, chicken, ginger.
Pepper.
I mean, look, even PFJ, all the vegetables that we consume in Ghana, only 10 to 15% of the seeds are produced here in Ghana. The rest, we import all vegetables. So you have a car, and you are boasting you have a car. Meanwhile, the engine is not yours. So you see, and
you shouldn't say painfully like that.
The thing is that what is going to make the situation more precarious is this e-levy.
Really?
I'm telling you.
But e-levy is going to, government says it's going to rather support us and cushion us. And
let me tell you, when the chamber came out to talk about the e-levy, I remembered I was interviewed on City, and we made a statement and said that our aggregators who goes and aggregates in the hinterlands, in the rural areas, put the money, okay, on their Momo. When they go, they get 50 bucks, they pay. Just a day, less than 24 hours after our press release, those who were going to buy tomatoes from Burkina Faso were attacked. 2 were killed. Their monies were stolen from them. Do you know what's going to happen? We are going to reduce the amount of money we carry to go and buy food. And that implies that if I'm supposed to buy 200, let's say 1,000 bags of maize, now a bag of maize, 50 kg in Kumasi, Ejisu, is costing 180 Ghana cedis. Somewhere 3 years ago, it was just 78 cedis. So you can see the jump in the price. Now, multiply 180 times 1,000. In addition to the cost of transportation, the cost of paying loaders, would you be able to carry that money? And let's even say that you are loading it onto your Momo. How much would they charge you?
For e-levy?
For e-levy.
1.5.
Then anytime you pay for 20 bucks e-levy, 20 bucks e-levy, what will happen is that I may decide not to carry or load the money, because at the end of the day, I'll be paying well over 18,000. If you do the arithmetic well,
that's right.
18,000.
That's a lot of money.
Yes, 18,000. Then when I come here, I'm better off increasing the cost
prices.
to the market women, then the market women will increase it onto us. So what is going to happen is that, look, let's face the reality. What's going to happen is that I'll carry maybe 100,000 or 200,000 and load it so that I reduce the cost of the tax on me. Now, in addition to that, the sad reality as we speak is that when you go to the north, where we have the big farmer-based organizations, okay? Now, most of these people who supply these smallholder farmers as a result of their groups are saying that they can't supply the farmers with fertilizers this year.
But something must give in terms of e-levy. Something must give.
Wait. Now, if they can't do that, one big one that has well over 45,000 people on database met their group leaders and told them we can't supply, so you produce and we buy. The farmers are saying they can't produce without fertilizers. So what is going to happen is that if he does 10 acres last year, or he did 10 acres last year, this time around he may do 5. Now that 5 will only trickle down when he decides that I need to sell maybe 1 acre so that I take my children to school, or my children to hospital, or my wife to hospital and give birth. They will stock and sell only when they need. And you know what is going to happen to us in the city?
No.
Food shortage.
Okay. Mr. Kariwe, food shortage brings me finally, and we're wrapping up.
Yeah.
Government says we have built warehouses to be able to tackle all these problems that Mr. Morrison and you have talked about. So now, at least with all the warehouses, over 100 of them, we are told, we should not be having some of these problems. By now, we should just go and open the warehouses, bring out the food and eat, and wait for the next harvest season and put the food back. But it doesn't appear that the warehouses are alive and well. Are they alive and well?
Well, warehouses are there to store food. So when there's no food, what will they store? There's no food. So the warehouses are useless. So you see, we are moving into the future. The nature, the state of our agriculture is that for this 2022, I think that we are going to have the lowest output ever. We are going to have a very low output at the end of the year. So between October to December, when we harvest, we'll have a low output. When we have a low,
are being doomsayers this morning. He said the same thing.
No, we are not. You see, if it is better to state the point as it is, so that you take the appropriate solutions for it, than to say it is not black when it is black. Why am I saying this? There's no fertilizer as we talk now. The only fertilizer you'll find is what? The one in the market with open market. Some is as high as 400
Per bag.
a bag. So how many bags will a farmer be able to buy? All other costs is going up. They will cut down their production, not because they want to do so, because they can just not afford it. Government is withdrawing support or reducing support. Let's still have hope, which is against hope, that the 15% subsidy will get the fertilizer to come. But if you listen to government officials speak, you will know that that is not to come. And it is not when they want the fertilizer to come. When they bring it at the time that the farmers do not need it, it will be a waste.
Right.
And even if you apply it, you will not still get the results. So we need the fertilizer. The fertilizer should have been there, be available now, but it's not there.
Is it too late now? Because the rains have set in. Is it too late to be bringing in fertilizer? There's still some hope.
No, it's not too late, because if you look at the southern part, we have 2 seasons.
Okay.
The northern part has got 1 season.
Right.
It's not late for the northern part. It is almost becoming late for the southern part for the main season. In the sense that the fertilizer, you need to apply it early enough. Not when the crops are already mature that you then go and apply it. So the fertilizer, every crop is based on the soil. The quality of the soil will determine the output that you will get, given that you will now clean the farm well.
So we need it now.
We need it now. We need it now. It's like malaria medicine. When you go to the hospital and then you are prescribed and you are given, you have malaria. You buy the drug, it's with you. In the morning you take, in the evening you take for 4 days or 3 days. You don't wait until when you now need you need to take it, you go to the drugstore to go and look for it to buy. And if you get there and it's not there,
you die.
So the fertilizer is supposed to be with the farmers. It's not available. When are they going to import it and come? There will also be smuggling.
Right.
Disasters will also come.
Right.
Bagre Dam. We should hope that they will spill it because it is a perennial thing and we have no solutions to it.
Finally, inflation, 23.6. How is that going to impact on farmers?
Inflation is a clear measure of what is happening to us. And prices are going even more than the inflation figure. You see, sometimes when we settle at it, we also want to agree that prices are at the level of the inflation. But in reality, on the ground, prices are not like that. In the rural areas, prices are more than the inflation figure. Because those who take those things there, they increase the price the way they want it. And it will affect agriculture. It will affect farming. And all these things put together, that's why I'm saying that we are going to have the worst output ever.
There will be hunger.
No, when we get the worst output in 2023, as we sit now, the food that we are eating today, maize, is not the one that has been produced in 2022. It's the one that has been produced in 2021. The rice you eat, if there's local rice, and you're eating local rice, it's not this year's local rice.
It's yesterday's rice.
It's last year's local rice. So in 2023, this time, the situation will be worse.
There will be hunger.
Certainly. There's already hunger. The hunger will be more. Because I don't foresee government getting so much money to be able to get us food to supplement the low output that we have set ourselves to produce. You know, my major problem is not about disaster. It's about deliberate policy to reduce output.
But you don't see that.
No, I'm saying there's deliberate policy to reduce output. When you refuse to invest, what are you doing? You are saying that you are expecting low output.
Okay, let's leave the matter here.
But Johnny,
you want to add on to my pain?
Yes. Senior Presidential Advisor, Mr. Habib Adams, Senior Economist Office of the President, this morning, Access to Agriculture platform, website,
Right.
was quoted as saying that Ghana is likely to experience food shortage next year.
But he's the advisor to the president.
But you see, this is the person who's a senior advisor, and he's projecting next year. We industry players are projecting this year. In fact, this year. So when you have people like this at the office of the president, giving the president, fact that,
So he's one of the people who misleading the president.
Look, what was he talking about? Next year, we are going to experience shortages if the right steps are not taken. And I'm saying this because a lot of jobs will be lost in the rural economy. The rural economy contributes more than 47% to our economic growth as a country.
Okay. I don't know what to say. This is not a good welcome for me. Anyway, let's read a few messages. It said the school feeding program was a recommendation by the Africa Peer Review Mechanism following Ghana's review. The review realized that there were more children out of school and the school feeding was to attract and retain the children in school. It was also to address the nutrition deficiency of the children with nutritious food. The program was to also serve as ready market for farmers, so the program began in deprived communities for the caterers to purchase the produce of farmers. How can you feed a child with 97 pesos worth of one hot nutritious meal? A meal is actually 1 cedi and 3 pesos is deducted as tax. Wow. Today, the caterers use almost every single imported item, including rice, to prepare the meal, and we have lost it because of political expedience. The program is hanging in the balance. Seteya, good morning to you, Sina Blobi. And anyway, some of your messages that you have sent. Well, it says, good morning, Johnny. Egg importation is on a high increase, and it is true. Another says that egg is 2 cedis. So Kosiani Meko is 2 cedis. It go be. It will be. A special birthday to Amos Emisa of Coca-Cola and Thomas Emisa of Deloitte and Touche. You're both of MOBA 1990. Happy birthday to you. Also, happy birthday to Stephen Kwavianu. Yesterday was your birthday. Special birthday also to you, Gerald O'Brien, Hardwick's Crab. It's your birthday today. Also to you, Oswald Kwame Deladem Foley of Leadian International School. You're 7 years today. Happy birthday to you. To Kenneth Dankwa of from your mom, Grace Yamoa. And happy birthday to his mother, Virgin Mary Ashite Adade of Mamprobi Methodist Church in Nazareth. She's a class leader, lay preacher, persecute Christ, little brand, all of those ones. Happy birthday to you. This is from Kofi Atakakra, Kusi Deputy Head of Corporate Affairs at the Ghana Tourism Authority in Accra. And Selom Amenya, the TV3 Newsroom, MG Newsroom. Yeah, 40 years today. Happy birthday, wow. Selom. You're on the 4th floor. Happy birthday to you. Also to Jessica Tay Bartplanch. This is from Joel. Wish you a happy birthday. If it's yours as well, happy birthday to you. Don't go to work disheartened. All you have to do now is to tweet at the president, to go on his Facebook page and tell him, Mr. President, are you aware that food shortage is imminent? Mr. President, are you aware that food is expensive? Mr. President, are you aware that the children are being fed with 97 pesos in school? Mr. President, are you aware that caterers are on strike? Mr. President, are you aware that there are no fertilizers? Mr. President, are you aware that farmers are complaining? Mr. President, are you aware that the dams have been washed away, they have dried up? Mr. President, are you aware that planting for food and jobs, rearing for food and jobs, and planting for export and rural development have not achieved what they said they will achieve? Mr. President, are you aware? Say, accommodating. You said yet is Mr. President, do something. Do something. See you after the break.